Ridge Holland, I want to talk a little bit about this situation because this really right here, this kind of gets my goat a little bit, guys. I have some advice for all you guys who get signed to WWE contracts. Save your money. Save what you can. You know, there have been countless wrestlers um, on YouTube. Maven, Stevie Richards, goes on and on and on talking about how they really did not make that much when they were in WWE. Stevie Richards does a great breakdown of it, as does Maven, talking about how, yeah, I was signed to this $70,000 a year contract, but at the end of the day, I'm maybe bringing home $500 a week. I can tell you from my experience, right now at the job that I'm in, I bring home about last week I brought home about $1,000, but I'm responsible right now for my own state taxes. Back when I ran with Prime and was the owner operator, I had to pay my quarterlies and everything else, but there is a caveat to that, and I'll get to that in a second. However, when you're in NXT, it's totally different. You're in Orlando, you're maybe doing that coconut loop, what they call the coconut loop, where they go to like Orlando, Jacksonville, they cut over, do, Gainesville, go down to Tampa, cut back over. They do that coconut loop, Fort Myers, Miami, whatever the case may be. And then they do like little high school gyms or little civic centers. And they sell their tickets and make a little bit of money. They're actually at a loss, but it gets the NXT wrestlers in front of new crowds every week and gives them the experience of what life would be like on the road. However, there's a huge difference in doing the coconut loop and then doing it over the road with WWE. Now, things have changed because they very, very rarely do house shows. They got the holiday tour coming up, and that's going to be a little bit of a grind. But you don't do house shows anymore. And they'll fly you out to the nearest city where you're going. Now, if you're just booked on Raw, you probably could catch an Uber from the airport to the building or to the gym or wherever you need to go. You can eat in catering, catch an Uber back to the airport, and fly home, or get a hotel room and fly home the next day, whatever they have for you. Now, the big thing with Stevie Richards and Maven is that they always talk about, okay, I got to fly, then I got to get a rental car, then I got to get this, then I got to do food, then I got to do this, gym, all that. Here's the rub, and here's what they're not telling you. Because you are a contractor, you're 1099 at the end of the year, you're able to pay your quarterlies, you're a private contractor. All of that stuff, your cell phone bill, your rental cars, your hotel rooms, your gym memberships, your clothes, your ring gear, all of that, your food, all of that stuff, because it is essential to your job. And because you can prove to the government that it is essential to your job. You can't maintain your appearance without proper food, and going to the gym. You got to have a cell phone to communicate with the office. You got to have a rental car to go from A to B. You got to have a hotel room while you're on the road. On and on and on. All of that is tax deductible. So essentially, the government's going to give you that money back at the end of the year. Now, Stevie Richards, I don't know why I keep saying Steven. Stevie Richards does a good deal about, if I wrestle in other countries, do I have to pay taxes to them? He talks about having to file a return in Japan. So, what does all this have to do with Ridge Holland? Well, Ridge Holland took a pay cut to go back to NXT, signed a one-year deal. I believe he's making $200,000 a year. Now, granted, he's got a wife, he's got a family. But again, all of the stuff that you do for your job is tax deductible. Your mortgage is even tax deductible, I believe. I mean, there was a year when I was an owner operator, I got to write off my PlayStation 4 because I could get news, weather, and traffic reports on it because it had an internet browser. And I wrote it off. I wrote my cell phone bill off. And at the end of the year, the government owed me money. Got a $3,000 refund that year. Thank you, government. So my advice to all these wrestlers is save your receipts, save your money when you can. Here's another thing. Why do you need a big ass mansion on the hill? Kevin Nash said it best. You need a room, a 1-bedroom apartment, maybe 2 bedrooms if you have a kid, and you need a washer and dryer to wash your ring gear in. That's it. You don't need a big ass house that you rarely will see. Now, if you live in NXT, you still don't need some big ass mansion with a pool and a home gym and a 15-car garage and all this stuff. You don't need it. You don't need it. So, why are you living beyond your means? I made $70,000 last year. Do you think I live on in a big ass mansion? No. And that's by choice. I don't live in a big old house. I don't need it. I downsized when I moved last year even. 2 of the 3 kids are gone. So, I see Ridge Holland doing these videos, and he's sitting in this house, and he's sitting in this big old chair, and he's talking about, woe is me. They fired me while I'm injured, but they're paying for my surgery and my physical therapy, but I may need more neck surgery that I'm going to have to pay for on my own, yada, yada, yada. And then, to top it all off, Ridge Holland's wife starts a GoFundMe. What is it with these wrestlers begging for handouts after they get injured or after they get, released? If you would save your money, yes, when you're an independent contractor, you got to buy your own health insurance, which that ain't cheap. You got to pay for all this stuff on your own. Again, it's all tax deductible. Your surgery can be tax deductible because you need to have surgery so that you can continue to be a professional wrestler, so that you continue to do your job. Your health insurance, you have to have health insurance in order to, function for your job. It's all tax deductible. You get that money back. And if you can't live off $200,000 a year, I was gonna put in this big, huge segment of Dave Meltzer talking about this, but I'm not. I'm not gonna bore you with him for 10 minutes. But this is sad, and Ridge Holland's not the only one to do it. There's wrestlers. Wrestler X gets hurt on the indies. Automatically, the very next day, the GoFundMe shows up. I bought my ticket to watch you. That's as much, and maybe buy your merch. That's as much as you're gonna get. Sorry. You knew the consequences and you know the risks when you take the job. When you do the job. When you sign I use this analogy all the time. Watch The Godfather 2, Hyman Roth. This is the business we've chosen. I didn't ask who gave the order, This is the business you've chosen. You know the risks or should know the risks involved. I'm not going to help pay for your shit. If I go down on my luck and start a GoFundMe, are you going to pay for me? I'm a wrestling fan. All these wrestlers who have given me joy over the years should go ahead and pay for my X, Y, and Z. No. This e-begging among the pro wrestling world has really gotten out of hand. It's really gotten out of control. And it needs to stop. I can understand, Chelsea Green gave to him, and Chelsea Green retweeted the GoFundMe, and WWE made her take the tweet down because, yes, this makes the company look bad. It's bad publicity for the company. Maybe the company should not have released him while he was injured. I mean, but then again, it's the job. Nothing lasts forever. Are you going to be in the same financial hole if they continue to pay you? Yes, you are. Because sooner or later, the money is going to stop coming in from them. And they would not have released you, because, okay, they let your contract run out. They're going to continue to pay you for however long that contract is gone. And then once your injury heals, you can wrestle. But now that they've released you, now you got to deal with, okay, they're going to continue to pay you, but now you got a no-compete clause you got to deal with. And if you had somehow recovered from that injury while that no-compete clause is in, guess what? You can't go out and work because you got that no-compete. I think maybe he wanted to get fired so that they would continue to pay him during the no-compete time. Maybe he did this intentionally. But to sit there and do the GoFundMe, that's what happens every time something bad happens to a pro wrestler. Whether they get released, whether they get injured, whether their dog dies, GoFundMe. And us as wrestling fans, we're like, I love you. You're somehow going to invite me to your home if I give you money. You're somehow going to be my friend if I give you money. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're going to say thank you, and they're never going to think about you again. They're going to spend your money and never think about where it came from. Maybe they'll go on the internet and go, thank you for everybody who donated. But that'll be about it. They don't care about you. They're not going to be your best bud if you donate money. If you donate money to Ridge Holland, he's not going to sit there and show up at your house and watch and play video games with you the next day. So stop. These guys know the risks. This is the business they've chosen. Let them choose it. Let them lie in their bed that they've made and live with the consequences of their actions. Heaven forbid these guys should have to go get a real job. Look at Marco Stunt. Now, Marco has recently, signed on with Memphis Wrestling. He'll be doing, I'm guessing, a few spots for them here and there. But guess what he had to do when he couldn't wrestle no more? You didn't see Marco Stunt. Or maybe he did pop up a GoFundMe, but that only lasted for so long. That's another thing. What happens when the GoFundMe money runs out? You going to get back on there and start another one? And let's face it, it's not like Ridge Holland is going to be a big name, a big on-demand name in the Indies. He's not. But Marco Stunt had to go get a real job. He's working at Homer Skelton Ford as a salesman, doing nice little TV pitches for them. As I did a video about that a couple days ago. So, yes, to support your family, you may have to go out and get a real job, professional wrestlers, if this don't quite work out for you. That's why, the first thing any good pro wrestler would tell somebody who goes, hey, how do I get into this business? The first thing they ought to tell you is go to school, get a degree, have something to fall back on. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Has the GoFundMe, the e-begging, has it gotten out of control? I think it has. We'll see you down the road.